Well, thank you, friend. Shabbat Shalom. Greetings to you all. I certainly hope you all enjoyed Halloween, the non-Jewish Purim, and that you wore an appropriate costume, offensive to as few people as possible, although it seems nowadays that you can get just about any costume to offend at least one person. Although there were still plenty of zombies and monsters roaming around in my neighborhood. I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight, for my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise, he did the mash. He did the monster mash, the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. He did the mash. He caught on in a flash. He did the mash. He did the monster mash. Now, that was Bobby Boris Pickett and the Crypt Kickers. And the Crypt Kickers featured the great Leon Russell. Now, has there ever been a Halloween since 1962 when that song has not been played? And that's probably okay, unless that too is now considered insensitive. Or maybe there's a Monster Lives Matter group, I don't know. This week marked the celebration of all kinds of things, and among them were birthdays, and I hope Ellen's is and or was great. How fantastic to begin a new phase of life on such an auspicious day. And I spoke to my dear old friend Philip, who's been listening and watching this weekly show for many years and who I have known for many more. And he was telling me how much he enjoys them and how there is rarely repetition. Well, I try to find something different, something special, something applicable each week and each year. There will always be times in a Parsha, year to year, when some similar comments are made, and that's because there are key things that do need to be repeated. This week we read the akedah, the binding of Isaac, the quintessential reading of the Torah, so how do you not mention it? But I try and find something different about it. And friends, it seems like it has become a weekly occurrence, but how sad for New York and the terror it just went through. Do not now subscribe to fear. Do not now let poor, sick individuals stop you from living life. You will see that this week. And in addition, there's 3 questions I want you to think about that are all applicable to both your daily life and to what you read in this Parsha. Now, the first is, why me? Now, take a minute. Let this be something you ask yourself daily in terms of counting your blessings. Every day you should get a different answer. It will exercise your gratitude and attitude muscle, making it stronger and focusing you on all of the positive events of life. Now, it's also a great question for when things seem to be going poorly, because it gives you insight into what you did to bring them on. Second question is, who cares? Now, this is a personal question that may help define your own mission in life, and we all need help defining our missions. The third is, what more can I do to ensure tomorrow is better than today? And this allows you to put your intention for the day out to the universe. So after you read this week's Parsha and ask yourself, how would Abraham have dealt with the 3 questions? Why me? Why was he blessed with a child in his old age? Well, there's the joy of parenthood, living on through having family, having a legacy, leaving a legacy, kickstarting his ability to learn because now he has to teach. Who cares? He chooses to care in order to thrive because his family needs him to. God wants it, and the world is apparently waiting for it. Now, what more can he do to ensure tomorrow is better than today? Well, that depends. We know Abraham was to be the bringer to the community of man of blessings, but we never find out how. So as we do every week, let us come together and celebrate and bring blessings in a showing of faith as a community, a chavura, of fellowship, and join together to express our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts and feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes that unites us all. As we come together every week in the community house of spirit, Beth Ruach. So once again, please do go ahead and invite everybody you know, physically, psychically, emotionally, or spiritually, to gather and share. Come on in, everybody. From Psalm 133, the Hine Matov, come together. Hine Matov, Nai, Shebetachim, come. Yachad, Hine Matov, Nai, Shebetachim, come. Yachad. How good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community. 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 Together. So as a community, let's all spread love, goodwill, and fellowship to the world. Let's also take advantage of our time to share the energy and healing of our beloved friends with our pets, our family members, everybody we know, and send renewal and goodwill and healing to them. Avenu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, listen and hear our prayers and allow us to be guided with wisdom. Let us send special words for those in need of renewal, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, for Philip, for Paul, for Ben, for Devorah, for all of you, for everyone in the world, the kindness, healing, wishes, goodwill, and love you all send out circles the world, finding those in need. So thank you, each and every one of you, for all you do, for all you care. Because as we all know, spirit never dies. Me, Shabbat, Avoteinu, Makor HaBracha, Limotenu, may the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. And let us say, Amen. Misha Baruch, let us all have our spirits renewed. And friends, we can all use renewal. Now, there's an old saying I'm sure you're all familiar with. One picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, take a look at Leonardo da Vinci's Annunciation. It's a picture of an angel telling Mary about the coming birth of Jesus, but it could be an angel telling Hagar of the birth of Ishmael. Maybe it's an angel telling Abraham and Sarah about the birth of Isaac. It really doesn't matter. It could be all of them. It's an amazing piece of art. And this week we read the Great Annunciation, Yera, and He appeared. Now it's the parsha that opens with the announcement of the birth of Isaac a year hence. Now the narrative motifs of the Annunciation type scene in sequence are the fact of barrenness, the promise of a son, sorry everybody, but son only, by God or an angel, and the fulfillment of the promise in conception and birth. Genesis 18:10, and he said, I will surely return to you at this very season, and look, a son shall Sarah your wife have. And Sarah laughed inwardly, saying, after being shriveled shall I have pleasure, and my husband is old. And the Lord said to Abraham, why is it that Sarah laughed, saying, shall I really give birth old as I am? Is anything beyond the Lord? Well, you know what, friends? Sarah did not believe. Sarah did not have faith. Now, this was not the first Annunciation. We had the first biblical Annunciation last week with the angel telling Hagar of her son to be Ishmael. But it's the birth of Isaac that really sets in motion history. So this week we begin with that great story, and we end with the akedah, the binding of Isaac, the order to kill his son. God said to Abraham, kill me his son. Abe said, man, you must be putting me on. God said, no. Abe said, what? God said, you can do what you want, Abe, but the next time you see me coming, you better run. Well, Abe says, where do you want this killing done? God says, out on Highway 61. I remember many years ago, sometime in the early 80s, I guess, I saw Bob Dylan and Carlos Santana perform that. That was really quite a thrill. Now, this is one of the truly great tales of faith that you're ever going to read. It's also an amazing microcosm of father and son relations. And the whole Bible is going to be filled with father and son relations, especially regarding the various midrashim about this particular incident you're going to read. And in between these two highlights, at the beginning and at the end, we get the tale of Sodom and Gomorrah and the strange story of Lot. And unlike Abraham, Lot does not have the same level of faith. Perhaps his wife had even less, and maybe his daughters even less too. Yes, it is a very strange story with Lot's shocking offer. We also have the second story of Hagar, with her and Ishmael's fleeing. Now, she had faith last week, and she demonstrates again that she has complete faith. Unlike so much else in these early biblical tales, much seems out of place. When you read it, it just seems odd because it looks like Ishmael's a baby. She flings him under a bush so as not to see him die. But he's somewhere between 14 and 16 years old. Back then, that's practically middle-aged. Anyhow, she's told it will be okay, and she does not question. She believes. And that's that, faith. And as I said, there's a lot of confusion in these early tales especially here. We saw it in the first line of the Torah a couple of weeks ago, and here we have again plurals and singulars all mixed in the same sentence again. We read that it is God and two angels who come, but it's confusing as to who is really there. Is it God or an angel or both, and who's talking to Abraham? It's actually quite hard to tell, and it almost doesn't matter. Anyhow, he tells him about Isaac, the God or this angel, and then the plans for Sodom and Gomorrah. What does Abraham do? He argues with God. This is a story we all know. And we are told that it is indeed God he argues with. Genesis 18:23. And Abraham stepped forward and said, will you really wipe out the innocent with the guilty? Perhaps there may be 50 innocent within the city. Will you really wipe out the place and not spare it for the sake of 50 innocent within it? Really? Now I want you to keep this in mind and ask yourself, why doesn't Abraham argue with the akedah? You would think he would want to save his son over the people of Sodom. Why me? Who cares? What can I do differently? Now there's some incredible firsts in this parsha. We have the first real episode of the life-altering double name calling. And I want you to watch it, for that particular sequence of events from this point on. Genesis 22:21. And it happened after these things that God tested Abraham. And he said to him, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. Genesis 22:7. And Isaac said to Abraham, Father, Father. And he said, here I am. And gave the sacrifice at Genesis 22:10. And Abraham reached out his hand and took the cleaver to slaughter his son. And the Lord's messenger called out to him from the heavens and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. So every time you have this double name calling, Abraham, Abraham, Father, Father, Abraham, Abraham, you're going to get it with Moses, Moses. And the answer is always, here I am. This signifies life-altering events throughout the Torah. And I want you to watch for these. In fact, some would say that they're the most significant events in all of these people's lives. And notice that where it says, and the Lord's messenger called out to him from the heavens. Well, that's nearly identical with the calling out to Hagar earlier. In fact, there's a whole configuration of parallels between the two stories involved. Each of Abraham's sons is threatened with death in the wilderness, one in the presence of his mother, the other in the presence and by the hand of his father. And in each case, the angel intervenes at the crucial moment. And there's even a larger parallel from how Abraham's quest began at the beginning as to how it will end. When told to leave his father's home, it is to a land God will tell him. And now, Genesis 22:2, take, pray, your son, your only one, whom you love, Isaac, and go forth to the land of Moriah and offer him up as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I shall say to you. So he's told at the beginning and he's told here at the end the exact same thing. Just do it to where I tell you to go, without knowing where to go. Now we also know that there were two sons. He says, your son, your only one. But there was two sons, not one. And this makes this part of a difficult section. Rashi suggested that this is only one side of the conversation. And it is worth reading the commentaries in the Midrashim here. Now, as I said, it's also, believe it or not, a brilliant example of father and son relationships throughout time. How can I try to explain? Because when I do, he turns away again. It's always been the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. All these stories here, my friends, are stories of faith and relationships. Yes, the world is sacred, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free. Be free. Honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone. And end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together. We celebrate each other. We love each other. We share this right together. Men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love. Learn to love yourself. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. Take advantage of the time you have. Enjoy the journey. We take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our efforts to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Now, bless you all. Have a fantastic week. A week of love and light, a week of peace. Examine your intentions. Use them to imprint your will on the universe. Remember, we set in motion all that happens in our lives. Our intention, our cause, our effect, everything is linked. Now, as I have said, you always have time to forgive and be forgiven. You do have the knowledge of what is good and bad. So acknowledge what you've done wrong to yourself, to God, and to any other person you've wronged, and ask forgiveness. Do so with sincerity, accountability, and vulnerability. Forgive those who've hurt you, and learn to be a forgiving and a compassionate person. You will be far better off for it. The secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace is in acceptance. Contemplate the meaning of acceptance, my friends. Can you accept yourself, other people in the world, just as they are on any given day? Can you accept life just as it is without trying to control it? If you do, you will experience the peace that acceptance brings. And do not stop your journey, because there are angels helping you every step of the way. Do not stop moving towards your promised land. Keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching. Keep spreading joy and goodwill. Do not follow fear, follow love. It is always in front of you. And remember to have faith and unwavering adherence to principle, just as I have faith in the principle of love and of all of you. So act with purity of heart and mind. Despise none, defraud none, hate none. Cherish all, honor every child of God, every creature of the earth. May all people know peace in this year. May you nurture kindness and love everywhere. Now work to be present in the body. Expand the heart, quiet the mind, because the deepest source of real power lies in your consciousness and the ability to be mindful, to be aware, to be present in all circumstances at all times. And make the most of your time in this life. Continue to touch and transform the lives around you, because you're never alone. You are forever blessed and have the ability to bring blessings to everybody you meet. Health, love, renewal to everybody you come across. We're all energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So let's all transform it into love and positive. Friends, your words are your power to transform, to love. So be generous with them. Bless others, bless yourself, and love with the heart. We're all part of a greater whole. Embrace love, not fear, forgiveness, not anger. The great lesson of life, be there for someone, because someone's always going to be there for you whether you know it or not. Do not stop asking questions, and do not stop giving and getting love. Explore faith, and do not accept shame as a natural state, like Adam and Eve did. Whatever you feel others have felt, whatever you've experienced, others have too. We share together, we learn together, we help each other all the time. You, angel, you got me under your wing. The way you walk and the way you talk, I feel I could almost sing. Well, I know that I can't sing. Be happy, be healthy, be helpful, be kind, to be loving. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Shabbat shalom and blessings to you all. Take care. Bye.